Welcome back to another video. Diamond Racing here. Today I'm going to do my Spa review. This is my second one. If you haven't watched my Hungary one yet, please go and watch it. I want to do this series for the rest of my life, hopefully, so please ensure it gets so much likes and views because, yeah, I think this is very fun. So today I'm going to give you my 21st in my ranking for the drivers over the whole weekend. Every single session applies. Then we're going to look at my F1 fantasy. If you don't want to watch that, you can skip it. Then you're going to see my Spa predictions and how it went. And then I'm going to give you my Zandvoort predictions, even though it's a month before we watch it, or we see the F1 there. So yeah, let's get underway. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe. And somewhere in this week, in the next week, I will put out my mid-season driver ranking video, and if you're interested in that, subscribe and you'll be the first one to know when that video drops. So let's go. 20th or P20 is going to be Logan Sargent. I know the Williams didn't have a fast car, but Sargent was way off his teammate in every single session. I don't know if it is because Albon is so good at the moment, but Sargent is really struggling in comparison. I know he's still a rookie, but hopefully he starts ramping it up in the second half of the season because he's a nice dude. I like him very much, and I think he could be very good. Just give him a little bit more time. P19 is going to be Lance Stroll. I think Stroll didn't have the best entire weekend. He was my loser for the sprint shootout because he crashed, and then Alonso couldn't make a better time, so they both went out in Q2. I don't think he was anywhere near the pace of Alonso all weekend, except for the sprint race where Alonso crashed, but that's that. He at least got points in the race itself, but Fernando was P5. I think he was only like P8 or 9. At the moment, I can remember. I should probably write this down in the future so I know where the people have finished. P18 is going to be Zhao. Now, Zhao's weekend is pretty much, I can't remember anything, but I know he wasn't as fast as his teammate in any of the sessions. He was out in Q1 in the race. I think he made it through with the sprint shootout in Q2, but in both of them, I think he was behind his teammate, and he couldn't have done better than P12 or 13, I think. So it's not too bad, but some of the people on this list had a better weekend. P17, Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg is actually a sad one because he didn't have a chance to qualify in any of the qualifying sessions because he had car trouble. The sprint shootout, he was actually doing good. He was keeping Alonso behind, and that's why Fernando made that mistake. But he was the loser of the race for me, the out driver of the race. He started from the pit lane and he couldn't do anything much. I don't think he even overtook someone. I think the only people he overtook was Logan Sargent. He was doing good, but then he just dropped. I think it was because the horse hasn't had a good car this year so far in the races, and Hulkenberg has been doing bits in this qualifying, but this time there was no qualifying, so I couldn't bump him up this time. Now P16 is going to be Perez. Perez is a hard one. He's in the best car, and he's not doing as good as Verstappen, and he will be getting did for that, but it's understandably why he's behind. I don't know why the margin is so big. The margin in qualifying of both of them are very big. I think the sprint race was pretty good until Hamilton made a hole in his side pod because he was fourth when it happened, and I think he started 8th. So I think the sprint would have been his best session, but then sadly the contact happened, and then in the race he had to pass his car. He got second place, but he was still like 20 seconds behind Verstappen, and he couldn't do anything to keep Verstappen behind. I can remember sorry, I remember Verstappen being like 2.2 or 3 seconds behind after he was in the pits, and then immediately Verstappen went past him, and he made a gap in 3 seconds, like in 2 laps. That's just too much. Anyway, P15 is going to be George Russell. I think Russell had a very disappointing race weekend, this one, because in qualifying was he wasn't even near. Sorry, I think I'm getting sick. He wasn't near Hamilton in any of the sessions. I think he made lots of mistakes in the qualifying or the sprint shootout. I can't remember which one. But he didn't do any good in the races. He just couldn't have made the places like Hamilton did. And Hamilton even finished ahead of him in the sprint race. And he had a 5-second penalty. Like, Hamilton is kicking his ass at the moment. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the near future. Maybe he gets his car set up right for the next half of the year. But we have to wait and see for that one. P14 is going to be Esteban Ocon. Now, Esteban had a really good race. I think he was on my top 5 for the race, but he was my L for the qualifying because he crashed out and he couldn't have done any more laps. I think Pierre also out-qualified him in the shootout and in the qualifying, just like I said just now. And in the sprint shootout, he wasn't as fast as Gasly. Gasly was keeping a Ferrari and a Mercedes and a Ferrari behind him. And Ocon didn't, I think he didn't even make it in the points. He was battling Ricciardo and AlphaTauri, so not so good. But his race, like I said, was very good. That's why he's above Perez and Russell, because he had a very good race. P13 is going to be Magnussen. I think Magnussen had a little bit better of a race and a session of the whole weekend than he had been the rest of the year. I think his qualifying was very good. I think he finished like P13, but then he had a penalty because I think it was impending. So it was ups and downs for Magnussen. But like I said, the pace of the horse in the race is not good, not in any one of the two. And also there was no, I don't think he did good in the sprint shootout. I think he was like 19th or 18th. And Hulkenberg didn't even have a lap, so not so good. P12 is going to be Lando Norris. Now, you're going to be shocked why I put him so low, but his rookie teammate was better than him in every single session that he participated. Now, I think Norris had an exceptional race where he had a slow car and he still made a P7. That was very good. But the rest of the weekend, he was so far behind Piastri. In qualifying, I know he had damage, I think, when he went off on the gravel. But that's his own mistake, so that's his own fault. But Piastri was so good this whole weekend. And I think Norris just had a slump. I don't know why Piastri was so much better than him. But maybe it was his car setup, like we said. But we'll see in Zandvoort. Maybe Norris comes back swinging, hopefully. P11 is going to be Carlos Sainz. Now, I didn't count the race because I still think it was an racing incident. But I still think Sainz is more at fault for that incident. But there's no penalty given. So I'm not going to count that for this weekend. If that counted, it would probably be like P15 or 16. But he was faster than Leclerc in the sprint shootout and in the sprint race, finishing ahead of him in both. But Leclerc was much faster than him in the qualifying and in the race. Leclerc had a very good race. But it's like, I think these two are the closest matched at the moment. Ferrari doesn't know what to do with these drivers, because if they really wanted to, Sainz and Leclerc could finish every race P1 and 2. But Ferrari has to get their shit together before that happens. Now P10, Sainz's teammate is Leclerc. Leclerc is a little bit low, but like I said, Sainz had a better of him in the sprint race and in the sprint shootout. And that doesn't happen much, like I would say. But Sainz is very consistent, but Leclerc is just very fast. In the qualifying, he did very good, and in the race, I think that's the best he could have done. But I think still some people did better than he did. P9 is Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda did such an awesome race. I'm so glad that he had a good race and he had a point, but his qualifying was good enough for, I think he was P11. That was so good. Then the sprint race and the sprint shoot, that was awful for Tsunoda. Tsunoda made so many mistakes. Sorry, my English is not that good. He made so many mistakes in the sprint race. I think he finished last of the runners after the VSC or the safety car. I think he made a mistake when he went around the last corner, and that cost him his sprint race. But still, like I said, Tsunoda's race was amazing. He was in my top 5 for the race, and I hope he and Ricciardo gets the Red Bull seat. I think Verstappen's dominance is getting a little old now. To see them both in the Red Bull would be so cool. Now P8 is going to be Alexander Albon. Now Albon had a weird race. He didn't get any points, but his car wasn't that good at all. So he was struggling to get in the points, but he was doing good enough to stay near the points. He was, like I said when I talked about Sargent, he was out qualifying and outpacing Sargent at every single session, and he had actually a very good Sunday with the race. But then Williams stopped him at the last 10 laps. They stopped him for softs, and he went from 12th to 17th, and he had to battle, but there wasn't enough time for him to make all those places back that he had missed. So it's hard, but still very good weekend. P7, Valtteri Bottas. Now Bottas' weekend is also a weird one. No points to show, but I think Zhou has stepped it up this year, but Bottas, this race has been much better than Zhou in every single session. Bottas was near the points in both the sprint and the real race. And in the qualifying or the shootout, or sprint shootout, he was near the points also when I think finished 12th. That was very good from Bottas. So that's why he's 7th. Sorry, just want to breathe a little bit. P6 is going to be Ricciardo. Now I've been very impressed in the last two races. I put Ricciardo in front of Tsunoda because Ricciardo didn't have a good qualifying. He made a mistake and he landed like P19. But in the sprint shootout, he finished 11th. And then he was fighting for the points in the sprint race. He was 8th for a long time. Then Russell came, then Ocon came, and then he finished P10. But if that was a normal race, he would have had the point. Tsunoda also finished 10th. So I think it was a very good for both the AlphaTauri boys, but I think he had actually a very good race also. Now, he didn't do as good, but he was starting P19. He went up, he did some good battles, and then he still finished ahead of Sargent, Hulkenberg, and I think Magnussen, I can't remember surely. But he still had a good race, even though he was far behind. He did overtakes, he did good, and that's why I don't understand why people are so hard on Ricciardo for this weekend. He did actually very good. So I don't know. P5 is going to be Fernando Alonso. Now for Alonso had a weekend of lots of ups and one weird down, if you know what I mean. Fernando was the qualifying W for me, out qualifying his teammate by a second in the same car. That was crazy. Even though it was P9 and P10, he was a second in front of Stroll. That's the biggest gap for the whole session. And for enough, the sprint qualifying or the sprint shootout wasn't that good, but yeah, he couldn't have done any better. And then he was my sprint race loser because he crashed weirdly, because Fernando Alonso doesn't do crashes, you know. And then his race was actually good. He finished P5. I think he started P9, he ended P5. That was very good from him. I wish they would have put someone else in the other seat, because I think Aston Martin could still be P2 in the constructors if Stroll wasn't there. P4, Lewis Hamilton. I started to get out of breath I don't know why. It's as long as I've been talking on this channel. Yeah, it's good. P4, Lewis Hamilton. He had a very good weekend overall, defeating his teammate in every single session and outpacing him massively, like I said. He was P4 in the qualifying. He did okay in the sprint shootout, not as good. The sprint race was good until he hit Perez, but still finished in front of his teammate. And then the race, he did the best he could. He couldn't have finished above Leclerc because I think Leclerc with the Ferrari was just faster. But anyways, he did a very good race. I don't think there's much he could have done better because his car just put the limitation there. P3, probably controversial, but I'm going to go Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly had a wonderful race this weekend. The qualifying was good. At qualifying Ocon, his sprint qualifying was even better. I think he finished like P5 or 6. But he was my sprint race winner because P3 in the Alpine, defending Perez, Hamilton, and I don't know if Sainz made it through. I don't think he did. But he was finding much faster cars and still ended P3. That was so good from Gasly. I think Ocon had the better of him so far, but I think this race Gasly had the edge. His race was very good, but I need people to understand this. Alpine didn't do him any good in the sprint, in the race, because he was on a softs for almost more than half the race, and then they stopped him because I think they wanted to go on the softs until the rain come, and the rain didn't come, so they threw his race away by doing the rest. If the rest paid off, he would be like in the top 10 easily, but it didn't work out, so he finished 11th or 12th. I think it was 11th, but Gasly had an awesome race, and I think he did better than Ocon the whole race or the whole weekend. But the race, if Alpine had a better strategy, Gasly would have done better, in my opinion. Phew. P2, Piastri. Piastri was such a wonderful sight this weekend. I thought he could actually take Verstappen on in the race, but it never happened because Sainz squeezed him. But in the qualifying, he did amazing. In the qualifying, in the qualifying, he did good. In the sprint shootout, he did amazing. In the sprint race, he was leading out of the safety car. I think if the safety car didn't come out, Verstappen would have maybe got him. I'm not sure. What ifs is not so good. He's safe if you want to see the what ifs. Watch that video. It's very good. And then Piastri was out in the race, so he could have gone up or down if Piastri participated in the race, but yeah. Now Verstappen, P1. Of course, Verstappen is P1. Who else is going to be P1? Verstappen is just dominant. I don't know what to say anymore. He was my sprint shootout winner and my race winner for obvious reasons. The sprint shootout is because he was so far ahead of his teammate in the same car again, and the race again. So that's my P20 to P1. I'm quickly going to go over my F1 fantasy. If you want to skip that and just go to the spot predictions, just go for it. So this was so bad. I can't believe how bad this was. Perez was my multiplier by 2, and he only got me 14 points. That's so bad. Leclerc got me 26 points. Sainz minus 8. Albon 19 and Norris 15. Albon had more points than Perez, and Perez was my multiplier by 2. That just shows how bad of a weekend Perez really had. Aston Martin 24 and AlphaTauri 18. I did not make any changes, but I think I'm going to make changes for the Zandvoort race. Okay, quickly going over my spot predictions, and it did not go any good. My good drive was Ricciardo. I'm going to give me a point for that. My bad drive, Alfa Romeo. I'll give me a point for that because they were so good at Hungary and now they was just not good. Paul Verstappen, of course. Shootout winner, Norris, did not happen. Sprint winner, Russell, did not happen. And my top 5, let's see how many I got right. P5, Stroll, no, he finished P7 or P8. P4, Norris, no, he finished P7, Albon, P3, didn't even finish in the points. Sorry, I just got a weird message from my recording. Piastri P2, didn't even have them in the race, and Sainz P1. Both of them were out, so yeah. And my prediction was that Sainz will outperform Leclerc, and that didn't happen, so I just got 3 out of 11. But hopefully Zandvoort will be better, so let's just go through it before I start to cry. Good drive, I think Williams will be surprisingly good at Zandvoort. I think they will bring a few upgrades, and maybe Albon and Sargent will get into Q3, or Sargent will get points, but Williams, my good drive. My bad drive is going to be Russell. Russell has been weird lately, not as good as Hamilton in my opinion, so I think Russell will be my bad driver. My pole position is going to Perez. Yeah, at Verstappen's home turf. Just you know, I'm a big Vettel fan, so I'm going to be sad if Verstappen wins the next 2 races. But I understand that is what the records are for, and Vettel would be glad if someone beat it, but I'm sad. I have a photo of Vettel just right from me. I can show you that now, but one day I will. And my top 5, let's hope actually I get one right. 5th place, Sainz. 4th place, Stroll. 3rd place, Verstappen. 2nd place, Hamilton. And 1st place, Perez. So yeah. And my prediction is Ricciardo will finish in the points. And that is my Spa race review. If you like these kinds of videos, please let me know what I can do better to improve the entertainment value of it. And if you like these kinds of videos, please like and subscribe. I'll be doing this for the rest of the races, and somewhere in the summer break, or I think, yeah, summer break, I will do my mid-season driver ranking. If you're interested in that, please like and subscribe. You'll be the first one to know. And yeah, let me know in the comment section down below how you would rank the drivers, what I did wrong, what I did right, and what do you think of my Zandvoort predictions. Have a nice day and goodbye.